The first time I ever remember going to church was on Christmas Eve, and I was 4 years old. There were, we lived in the city of Beto, Pomerania, which is in the far northeastern corner of Germany, very close to Poland, the Polish border. There were not lots of churches. We think of Appleton as so many churches, but there was only one cathedral that we knew of, and it was a cathedral. It was a very large church. We went to it, and I remember going up to the balcony, and I sat there and looked down. There was a very, very large Christmas tree there, which was surprising to me because we did not have a Christmas tree in our house where we lived. We lived in a one-room apartment which had room for twin beds, a table, chairs, a little stove for my mother to cook on, and that was about the extent of it. Well, anyway, I looked down and there was a choir singing Christmas songs, and they were singing beautiful hymns, I'm sure, but I didn't know what they were singing, so I just sang along with them. O Tannenbaum, O Tannenbaum, O Tannenbaum, O Tannenbaum. Those were the only words that I knew to O Christmas Tree, O Christmas Tree. So I kept singing it over and over again. And that is my memory of going to church in Germany.
You came over to the United States when?
When I was 4 years old. Things were very difficult in Germany. My father had relatives here in Wisconsin. It took almost a year to get all the proper papers. By that time of the year, it was the month of December, so it was December when we crossed the ocean, and it was a rough journey because it was very cold weather, and we arrived in New York Harbor on Christmas Eve. It was beginning to be dusk. People on the ship were crowded to watch the shoreline as it passed. They mentioned the Statue of Liberty, and that they could see the lady with the lamp. That was especially impressive to them, that they could see the lady with the lamp. We docked. There were Americans on board the ship, and they were able to leave the ship and go to disembark and go. However, there were a lot of foreigners in the ship, and they had to be processed to Ellis Island. And so we had to stay. But some of the crew from the ship went on shore, came back with a Christmas tree that they put up in the dining area, and then they invited all the passengers that were left into the dining room to celebrate Christmas. We went in there and sang Christmas songs. There were people from all nations and all languages in the group, and no matter what they sang, Silent Night or all the Christmas songs they sang them in their own language, and it was the same melody. The crew gave us treats. We got apples and real oranges. Imagine in winter you'd get an orange. And for the children, there was candy. It was quite a celebration. Then we had to wait over Christmas until the day after, and then we were processed through Ellis Island. It took almost a day to get through Ellis Island. We were physically examined, and I remember being vaccinated, which hurt. And after we were through all the processing, and getting the right papers and having them examined. Then we were put on a very small ship and put on shore in New York, in New York. And there happened to be a young man on the ship that got to know my parents. He was a little bit more aggressive than my parents were, and coincidentally, he was due to go to Wisconsin also. Actually, he went to the Neenah area, and so he traveled with us, kind of helped my father and mother with the things they had to do. We had the train ride to Chicago, had to wait in Chicago at the depot until the next train, then came up to the Appleton area, and in Appleton we were met by the relatives of this young man. They invited us to their home, and then from there, I remember having a meal there, which was very delicious, not what we were used to at all, because we had been so, there had been so little food for us to have to buy in Germany, that, well, then anyway, they called our relatives in Black Creek, and they came in from Black Creek, they came and picked us up. Can you imagine the car at that time? This was in 1924. It was a touring car with button-on curtains, and you had to crank the motor in order to get it going. It was very, very cold day, and our relative in Black Creek had sent along a fur robe for us to cover up with in the back seat, and also a heated stone to keep our feet warm. And that was how we got to Black Creek. The relatives expected my father to be a farmer. However, my mother always used to say my father didn't know a cow from one end to the other. And so it wasn't long before the people around the area in Black Creek found out that there was a young German man who knew how to fix doors that didn't work and build cabinets and cupboards. And he was going from one place to the other, constructing furniture for them, doing repair work, was able to get a job at Oscar Bolt Construction Company, and he rented an apartment for us, and we moved to Appleton. And you know what? That apartment didn't have just one room, it had 4 rooms to it. And then, after we were in Appleton for a while, the pastor from Zion Church found out about us, and he came to visit my parents and explained to them that the Zion Church had German services every other week, and they should certainly come to church there. They were happy to hear that they could come to church in Appleton. They found out, my goodness, there were so many churches in Appleton, and they were used to about only one in the city. Well, anyway, and also the pastor explained that Zion Church had a parochial school, that I could go to school, and I could learn not only English, but I could learn German at the same time. So they enrolled me in the Zion school, and I was kind of a young student. I was barely 5 at that time, but I learned German and English to read and write it at the same time, and it was very, very difficult. through the Scouts, our boys were in Boy Scouts at that time. John had gotten to know about a new church on the south side of the city that had just been built, and they were just starting, and he decided that we would try going, instead of going to Zion, we would try going to that church. And so we went to Prince of Peace and got to know the pastor and the people there, and that's how we started at Prince of Peace.
You've been involved quite a bit at Prince of Peace throughout your life, haven't you?
Yes. I started being Sunday, okay, the Sunday after at Zion, the Sunday after I was confirmed, the pastor came to me and said, "Hildegard, come with me." He took me to the 3rd grade class and said, "Today you will be a teacher here." And so I was a 3rd grade Sunday school teacher after I was confirmed. And from then on, I was kind of a Sunday school teacher. Well, when we got to Prince of Peace, they found out that I had been a Sunday school teacher at Zion, so I got enrolled as a Sunday school teacher again. And that's how I got it. I was a teacher there for a while, until I retired.
Yeah, and you taught which grades then?
It was the lower grades, about third or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, it seems to me when I first came, you had been teaching kindergarten.
That's right. That's right. Then I was demoted.
And you taught oh gosh, a long time, hadn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I heard something along the lines of 50 years.
It could be.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your things that you enjoyed about that?
Well, the kids were fun. And, I watched them growing up. And then, I look at some of them that I know now and I think, good grief, here you are. And I had you in Sunday school.
Those good memories for you?
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him about the birthday card that you got from Paul Anderson.
Oh. Well, anyway, I had a birthday recently. I got a card from him, reminding me that I had been his Sunday school teacher at one time. A couple weeks ago when I had my birthday.
Oh. And Paul Anderson is now a physician in Pittsburgh area, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have had the Anderson boys coming through.
I did. Mm-hmm.
And lots of other generations of children.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you've enjoyed about your time at Prince of Peace?
I enjoyed the people very much. I've had a good relationship with the pastors. They've been great. And the social activities. And
So go ahead.
I enjoy, okay, even the coffee hour is nice.
When you think back of your experiences at Prince of Peace, Hildegard, are there pieces of advice that you would give to those who are coming up and raising children and worshiping there as well?
Well, I don't think that I'm the one to give them the advice.
You're not qualified to do that?
I don't think I'm qualified to advise them on what to do.
When you think of your relationship to God now in your life, how would you describe that? How would you describe how you see that relationship, maybe how you see God?
I think I'd feel very lost without my faith, without my being able to pray, without my being able to go to church. I'd feel as though there was a big hole in my life if I didn't have that. When I was very little in Germany, I learned to pray a German prayer. Breit aus die Flügel beide, o Jesu meine Freude, und nimm dein Kindchen ein, soll Satan mich verschlingen, so lass die Englein singen, dies Kind soll unverletzt sein. Amen. Now shall I translate that for you?
Please do.
Jesus, take this child into your tender care and keep it in your care so that Satan's temptations and the evils of this life shall not overcome you. Keep you in his care. Amen.
When did you first learn that prayer?
My mother taught it to me when I was very little.
So would that be
It
something?
was my first prayer.
Was that be like a bedtime prayer for you?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And that's something that you have used and been close to you ever since.
Yes.
Have there been any times in your life when it was more difficult for you to follow the Lord?
I think when it was difficult, I needed to cling to that. I needed to have that to hang on to. My feeling that Jesus was right inside the door, waiting there, taking care of me, with me all the time.
You've been through, as we all are, with challenges in your life. How has your faith helped you in that?
It just makes me feel that, well, I think I have the feeling that, okay, you're up in heaven now, but don't worry, I will be joining you before long.
When you look to the future, what does that look like for you?
I'd say I look at it, I'll take one day at a time. And see how far I get.
Do you have a goal? Do you want to make it to a certain age?
No, I'm happy with what I have. If God decides that this is enough for me, that'll be all right.
What would you say to people who are having challenges in their own life or maybe in their own faith today?
Ask God for strength and pray for the strength to meet the problems that you have.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with me?
Well, I don't know. I think we talked about probably more than I should have.
I think you sounded great, Hildegard.